I've had a difficult life.
Yeah.
I'm very, very fortunate that I've had a mother, Lucia Guarino, the most amazing woman I've ever met in my life. Bar my little girl and my baby mum. And that's obviously for the reasons that she's given me my daughter and my mum being who she is and my little girl. And when it actually comes to mental health, the worst situation I've ever been in, I can only go based on that.
Yeah.
I was my best friend passing away, being homeless at the same time.
Ooh.
So I struggle with mental health all the time.
Yeah.
One of my struggles, anxiety, depression. Depression, you're worrying about what's happened in the past and you can't get over it. Anxiety, worrying about something that's not happened in the future and you can't get over the fact that it's not happened and it's coming. So you break them two down, but the worst situation I've ever been in is just tragedy. Just my best friend in the world passing away at an age that he shouldn't have, and me not knowing how to deal with it at the same time as being dirt poor in poverty and living on couches and out of a bin bag. Wow. And then the pitfalls of everything else in life, being in a relationship, just everything in it. It's difficult. Life's hard. Yeah. And I think that period of my life was the toughest. I would bring him back tomorrow, but unfortunately it wasn't meant to be, and fate, as it happens, took him away, and it saved my life when that happened. And then just running through the stuff of just being a kid off a council estate, in and out of court and in and out of cases, nearly going to prison several times by the skin of my teeth. So yeah, being resilient. It's just I've lived in 24 different houses, mate. Wow. I've moved 24 times. I was homeless for 3 years. I've lived
within Manchester.
Yeah. Okay. I've lived in women's refuges with my mum when I was a kid. I've moved 3 times in them. On a council estate where it was a total area of an area of total deprivation. One of the only ones in the country outside of London. There was a documentary on the estate in the 90s of how bad it was. So growing up around that, when they talk about like county lines and stuff, my estate was one of the original county lines where the kids from Moss Side, Rusholme and Hume would come and sell crack on the estate. How do I know that at an early age? So the resilience is just growing up around that. And like I say, the worst scenario I'd ever been in was it's the anniversary of it on Monday, on the 1st of February, of him passing away. And I believe that, I read a quote before. I'm going to read it right now, actually, because sure. I want to. It's important to me.
Yeah, definitely.
It's when friendship leaves us through death, we feel cheated in life. Life doesn't play fair, so I vow to win for us both. And that's what I'm going to do. That's my best mate. So whatever I'm building and whatever I'm doing, his mum's gonna feel the benefits of it as well, because if he was there, he'd be with me.
Yeah. So your wife or what you're doing in life is stronger because you actually have.
I'm so grateful to have been around. Yeah. That man taught me how to be brave and never back down. If anybody sticks it on you, you've got to make sure that you're ready for it.
Yeah.
Even if you get beat, I'd rather go out getting beat up than not. And you're gonna get beat up anyway. Yeah. At least give somebody a good turn.
Might as well. If you're gonna die, you might as well die.
Go out on your shield. Exactly. That's it. That's just. He was younger than me.
Right.
Christopher Mason, rest in peace. That's all I can say, brother.
Cool. So, how did you go about seeking support for some of the issues you had?
I've only recently just started it.
Okay.
About 2 years ago, started therapy. Like I said, growing up, I lived a domestic violence. My dad, not really a dad, just a total piece of shit. Sorry for swearing.
No worries, bro.
Same with my brother, piece of shit. And just living around violence all the time, that's what I'm riddled with anxiety for, because it's just, violence is just, it's awful. And the therapy, nobody knows what goes on in your head. You can't express it. Being mental health for me is, if you've got a cold and you're poorly and you're sick, you know what to do. Your mum will tell you what to do. Yeah. When your brain's poorly and you're unwell, you don't know what to do. Your mum won't tell you what to do. The doctor, it's only just starting now that we're finding out theories and things to do. So being poorly in the head, it's not it's like having a cold. It comes. You'll get a bad cold 2-3 times a year. You'll go through a bad period of mental health 2-3 times a year. You just won't tell anybody about it. If you got a cold, you tell everyone. I'm riddled. I'm knackered. Do you know what I mean? I'm not well. Oh, you'll stop working. When you're mentally ill and your brain's poorly, you won't stop anything. You'll just continue doing it because you're expected to. So what I found is just talking, whether it's a therapist. I understand that you can't do that because the NHS is on its back.
Definitely.
So if you can afford it, privately do it. If you can't, find someone that you can speak to anybody, but open up, talk. Definitely. That is the number one thing that you can do. Eating right, don't drink and take drugs, and definitely don't continue if whatever's making you bad, don't continue it. Do not continue it.
Yeah. Okay. That's real. So, like, with the mental health, because it's a very, like, even now, people don't talk about it enough. And like you said, when you have a cold, you tell people that you're ill, but
I'm the biggest.
To work day in, day out, and you wouldn't like tell people that you don't feel tip-top.
Because
you know what I mean?
I think there's this when we talk about men and stigma, even women as well, because let's not put a gender on it. When you've got a cold, you can turn around and say, "Oh, I've got a cold. Just get a couple of paracetamol." When you're poorly, your head's poorly, you don't tell people because you don't really want to tell anybody. Because the first, if you're mentally poorly, it means that you're having not really good thoughts. Because being poorly, you'll shake, you'll ache, and you'll feel sick. Being mentally poorly, you've not got really good thoughts. Right. And I think the stigma behind it is people not wanting to discuss the thoughts that they're having because the thoughts aren't really that great. And you will absolutely not want to talk to anybody because you don't want anybody to look at you differently. And that's a fact. That's why nobody talks about mental health, because whatever you're going through in that period, the thoughts are not good and you don't want people to know what they are.
Oh, yeah. No, you're right. How do you maintain and prioritize your mental health?
I don't. I try as best as I possibly can, but I don't. It's like I said now, for the last 2 weeks, every time this time of the year, I go through the same period. Terrible. Because I'm running up to that period of I can't stand the weather. I hate it.
Terrible.
Yeah, awful. And this time of the year where my friend, sadly passed away and lost his life. So I know in the this week is always this week. This next week is going to be an incredible test for me. It is every year. I just grit my teeth and smile through it. If I'm laughing and smiling, I'm not inside. So maintaining it. What I did last year, and I started doing it last year, is exercising and go in the gym, sauna, steam room as much as I can, and just eating better.
Your diet is key.
So I could sit here and say I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. Again, like I say, language is super, super important. So being positive and just making sure that this is normal. If you lose somebody to tragedy, it's unfortunately a pitfall of life and totally normal as a baby being born, which is incredible. You've got good and you've got bad, so you've got to find an in-between. My therapist, Patrick, I've not seen him since probably last summer.
Okay.
Just an incredible man that made me aware that everything that I'm going through and thinking of is just normal. It happens.
Normal, that's a good...
You've got to normalise all of it.
Yeah. What do you think we can do to destigmatize, like, mental health issues?
You can't. Everyone's always going to judge you. You'll never destigmatize it. You've got to build an awareness. Stigma, awareness. No, if I was to tell you some of the stuff I've been paranoid about in the past, because anxiety creates a paranoia creates delirious. When you become delirious, you'll act upon it. If that makes sense. So if you're anxious, you'll become paranoid. If you become paranoid, you'll end up delirious. Delirious is an emotion that you'll project. So as soon as that happens, straight away, somebody else, unfortunately, will be dragged into your emotional trauma or whatever it is that you're going through at that period of time. And that's just that.
Yeah.
So
crazy.
Stigma, everyone will always have a stigma towards it because everyone will judge.
Yeah.
It's like greed. If you just put 10 grand on the table right now, say nobody touch it, one person in the room will take it.
100%.
So everyone's always going to... There's always going to be a stigma towards mental health. They will. Don't expect anybody to not judge you. Yeah. Just forget the judgment. We've got to move past that and just create awareness.
Yeah.
For every 10 good people, for every 10 people, 9 are good, 1's bad. That one person will spoil your day.
Yeah.
Fact.
What are your thoughts on like men and like the deaths from mental health issues?
This is the biggest one because it's that's probably the biggest cause of death of men in my area. I can't go on about the country because I don't really know. I don't know the stats, but I know that the blokes around my area that are going through what they're going through are going through exactly what I'm experiencing. The pitfalls of just growing up and not having your parents there as much as they was when you was a kid, not having the comfort of growing up and having to pay bills and having to go out and being expected to social media. You're expected to be happy 24/7. I've gone through periods now where I've seen somebody on social media being dead happy and been devastated that they're happy and I'm not. Normal. Yeah. If you go to the pub tomorrow and you sit in the pub and you see somebody absolutely buzzing and having a good laugh and you've had a terrible day at work, you will be jealous of them having a good time. It's all completely normal. It has to be normalised. Not, again, when it comes back to the stigma, and it's just awareness that all these things you're experiencing are normal things for normal people. Yeah. So, again, when it comes to men and them unfortunately passing away to mental health, it's awareness, and it has to happen. I think when the next government gets in, I'm assuming it'll be Labour. They have to go one step further and create hubs in small, confined areas. That hub might be in each town. It might be 3 or 4 per city, but it's got to be accessible within a mile radius that people can go and do therapy.
Yeah.
However long that takes, I'm assuming the NHS is on its arse, like I say, but hubs, mental health hubs, places you can go, exercise with. There's loads of stuff. But first and foremost, get talking, diagnose what's going on with you straight away.
Yeah,
that's it. But I'm just an idiot in an office. No, I'm only kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah.